Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're situated on this great, big, beautiful blue globe, floating through the void of Yah's creation. It is the 4th of August, 2025, and as always, holding the legacy mainstream media's feet to the fire because they lie, they massage, they manipulate. And guess what, folks?
You won't be trusted anymore.
Yeah, you know, once you lose trust, it's really hard to get it back. And that's you can live by that motto. Anyway, welcome to the Monday edition of the WTF Reports. I'm your host, Dave vonKleist. And as always, I invite you and humbly and respectfully ask you to visit our website, TheWTFReports.com, and do business with our sponsors and pick up some merch while you're there. This broadcast is brought to you in part by Get More Tank. Yeah, Get More Tank. That sounds kind of like a funny name for a product. But no, Get More Tank works, folks. I've been using it for a year, and those folks out there that have jumped on board and used it, they're finding that they're getting the same type of positive results that I got. And that is, first of all, you're going to see more power in your vehicle. And after a few tanks of using this stuff, you're going to see anywhere between 15 and 20% increase in your gas mileage, which means you're going to save money. Who doesn't want to save money, especially in today's economic environment? So please go to our website, TheWTFReports.com, click on the sponsors page, check out Get More Tank, and their website will give you all the specifications and all the scientific data on why and how this stuff works. So check it out. And after you've gotten yourself informed and you understand what this stuff is, I have no doubt that you too will get more tank. All right, getting started this week. Well, first of all, I just want to let you know, as if you didn't already know, that I am very well documented and on the record for having no love for the mainstream media. Having worked in the media, I got my broadcaster's license in 1979. And for about 10 years, I bounced around from one radio station to another radio station, first off as a disc jockey, and, playing music and stuff like that, but also getting involved in talk radio, and did a lot of commercials and narrations and stuff for an ABC television affiliate in New Haven, Connecticut, WTNH. And it was there in the early 90s that I discovered and came to realize exactly how the mainstream networks were massaging, manipulating, and basically propagandizing the American people. And that set me off, on a tangent, because I live by my own motto. If you become aware of a lie and you do nothing to expose the lie, you become part of the lie. And I'm sorry, I have to look at myself in the mirror every single day, and I want to know that I'm standing for the truth. And that's just the way I've lived my life, and it's reflected in the music that I've written, the documentaries that I produced, and the radio programs that I've been doing for many, many years. But and that's one of the reasons why I wrote a song. You've heard the theme song that I use for my intro and for my outro of this radio show. You won't be trusted anymore. And there's another song that I wrote. It had this verse here. I want to share with you because I'm going to go down memory lane for a little while. Listen to this verse here.
Broadcast stations we control, induced complacency to go. Let people think that they are free. Distractions broadcast on TV. Our influence in Washington make people do what we want done. Eventually, when we are through, they'll do just what we tell them to.
Yeah, the television networks, the radio networks, the print media, I mean, they've all been massaging, manipulating, and propagandized the American people for our entire lives. And the reason I'm jumping on this particular bandwagon right now is because it was 20 years ago, just about this time. Yeah, it was 20 years ago in 2005. You may recall, of course, everybody was still paying attention to what happened with the 9/11 attacks. September 11, 2001 was still on the front burner, the topic of discussion all over the country and indeed all over the world. And yours truly had produced a documentary film, and you can find it online. As a matter of fact, if you go to my other website, davevonKleist.com, click on the 9/11 information, And you can link right there and watch the entire documentary, 9/11 in Plain Sight. And I produced that and came out in late 2000, September of 2004. And it made a big impact. It went all over the world. And, of course, the powers that be weren't too happy about it. And then in the following summer of 2005, which, like I said, was about 20 years ago, I believe it was in July, they came out with a new video of the plane that hit the Pentagon. And they said, this is going to put all those conspiracy theorists to rest. Yeah, that's what it is. And it had like maybe 2 extra frames or something like that in the video. But anyway, going down memory lane here, I was contacted by CNN. And Glen Beck, of course, was working for CNN at that time, and they wanted me to come on and discuss this newly released video of the plane hitting the Pentagon. Well, they wanted to rake me over the coals, but I figured that I should go back, and I'd like you to listen. This is what was broadcast on CNN when Glen Beck interviewed me. And I want you to pay close attention to, first of all, how he introduces me. Okay, and then when I started to have a discussion with him, the first thing that I mentioned was that I had spoken to military individuals, General Stubblebine, Colonel George Nelson, etc., and I referred to military people a couple of times. And then he comes back and he says, "Well, have you talked to any military people?" And I was sort of like, "What are you talking about?" Anyway, here is I'm going to play this. And give a listen to what happened. This is 20 years ago on CNN when Glen Beck interviewed me in regard to the Pentagon attack on September 11th.
11, a bunch of theorists, otherwise known as people with active imaginations, no common sense, and a lot of time on their hands, have insisted that explosives inside the World Trade Center brought the towers down, that all the victims in the first plane really didn't die because there were no passengers, and that no plane ever hit the Pentagon.
Okay, I'm going to stop it right there. No, I didn't say that there were no passengers. No, I didn't say that. And then he comes in and he provides a video clip from somebody else's documentary. I believe this was from Jimmy Walters. He produced a documentary about 9/11. Here it is.
Flight 77, 125 feet wide and 44 feet tall, allegedly crashed into the Pentagon on September 11th.
Allegedly?
Okay, so he put a video clip of somebody else's documentary in there. So anyway, let's carry on.
I think yesterday, by releasing this video, the government seems to have taken care of that one in about 10 seconds flat. Or did it? There's a documentary you can't get off of you can get off of a website, but for some reason, they're not letting you buy it at Blockbuster, and now available is a director's cut that insists all of it is a hoax. Dave vonKleist, you produced it. Tell me, sir, how is this not a plane?
Okay, I'm going to pause it again. He's showing the video. I'm sure we've all seen it, the security camera footage of something hitting the Pentagon. No doubt about it. There was something that flew in there, but it's just a white blur. Okay, so let's carry on.
Right there. Can we freeze that and show that box? How's that not a plane? That's a big white object of some sort. That's right. It's either a plane or a naked Michael Moore headed for the buffet.
Okay, pause it right there. He just admitted that it's either a plane or a naked Michael Moore. Obviously, you can't tell what the heck it is. Otherwise, he wouldn't have brought up a naked Michael Moore heading for the buffet table. He just proved my point.
It's something, there's no doubt about it. But right. The question is definitively, is that Flight 77? And according to the military experts that have seen our video...
Okay, I'm going to stop it right there. According to the military experts, right off the bat.
11 in plain sight, it is absolutely not. And that's according to a two-star general, General Albert Stubblebine, with 30 years experience in charge of photo analysis at the Pentagon, and also Colonel George Nelson, United States Air Force, with 30 years experience identifying aircraft and aircraft parts.
Okay, I'm going to pause it again because I had a split screen. And as soon as I started quoting high-ranking military people from the Pentagon, again, split screen, you could see the video shot is from his chest up, but he started doing something with his hands because his body started shaking. I think he was trying to let the cameras know that we got to do something about this guy. Let's carry on.
If it's not a plane, what is it exactly?
I don't know. I didn't say it was a 757 that hit the Pentagon. That was, of course, the mainstream media, the networks, et cetera, et cetera. The question is, if that is Flight 77, a Boeing 757, how do we explain the photographs and the video footage that to this point has not really been addressed in an open and honest forum in the mainstream media?
Okay, I'm going to pause it again. I got to tell you this. When they contacted me, and they wanted me to be on this interview, and I said to them, well, listen, can we show some of the video clips from my documentary? And they said, well, we have to get releases and stuff like that. I said, you have my permission. I'm the producer. And she says, this woman I was on the phone with, she says, well, you got those from somewhere. I said, yeah, I got them from your documentary film from CNN about 9/11. And she says, well, we have to get releases. I said, wait a second. You are CNN. Why do you need releases from yourself? I said, and so the thing is, they didn't want to show any of the video clips. Okay. Okay, I could see what I'm up against here. So what I did is I printed out an 8x10 glossy copy of the Pentagon. Now, keep in mind that the Pentagon was indeed hit at approximately 9:28 a.m. All right. However, the area where it was hit didn't collapse until 10 o'clock, 28 minutes afterwards. So the point is that during that period of time, the fire trucks got there, and there's video footage that I included that show that the trucks were spraying down the area of the Pentagon, but the collapse had not happened. We all saw the pictures of the Pentagon with one side who had collapsed completely, but they never showed you the photographs or the videos that happened before that. So something hit the Pentagon, whether it was a missile or anything. If I was to speculate, then I become a conspiracy theorist, okay? But I wasn't theorizing anything. I'm just analyzing the video and photographic evidence and saying, wait a second, how does a 757 slam into the Pentagon and only leave a 16-foot hole, which is clearly seen in the video footage? The Pentagon had not collapsed yet. So I had an 8x10 glossy picture stuffed in my shirt, and because they wouldn't show the video footage. So anyway, he gets into talking about that, and that's when I pulled out the 8x10 glossy, and they did not like that. Here, let's carry on.
What needs to be addressed? There is the plane. Wait, let me ask you this.
There is something.
Where are the passengers?
It's really interesting that you couch this entire interview by saying conspiracy theorists, but at no time am I theorizing anything. I'm basing my questions.
I got to tell you.
I'm basing my questions on evidence and photographic evidence and video evidence.
Okay,
and they're simply asking questions.
Hang on just a second. Mm-hmm. That's part of the problem. You don't have a theory. You're saying it could be a plane. It could be a big white elephant.
Right. That's my point. We don't know what the heck it is.
It looks like a plane. That's the most common sense kind of idea that it is a plane. Give me an idea of what it would be if it's not a plane.
See, he's trying to back me into speculating or theorizing, and I wouldn't do it.
Well, like I said, if I was to try to tell you what I thought it was, then I would be dabbling in conspiracy theory, and that's not what we're about. The point is that the military experts that we've spoken to say that the damage that you see at the Pentagon before the collapse, and we have one of the photographs here.
Okay, I'm going to pause it. I just said that the military experts that I discussed. Okay, that's the second time I'm mentioning military experts, and this is when I pulled out the 8x10 glossy.
Showed that in that brief clip.
Okay.
And here's a photograph, one of the many photographs taken before the collapse of the E-ring. Mm-hmm. Now, this photograph, for the most part, has been ignored by the mainstream media. It clearly shows the roof line is still intact. It shows that the place had not collapsed yet. It also shows the lawn is untouched. And most importantly, you show me where there is a hole big enough for 757,
right.
And is there any wreckage?
Okay, I'm going to pause it again. Now he's backed into a corner. All right. And by the way, Glen Beck, I hope you're hearing this. I hope you remember. Hello, remember me? Yeah, he's come around since then. I have to say, he's been really going after the bad boys in the deep state, but he's not gone far enough. Hey, Glen Beck, you owe me an apology. Let's carry on.
Quick question. Have you talked to any military personnel?
Wait a second. I already quoted from two different military people.
General Parton, for one, that will tell you that it was a plane?
And I did speak to General Ben Parton.
That's very curious you would bring up General Parton, because in his interview with the John Birch Society magazine, The New American, he stated that the entire plane vaporized. And yet Jamie McIntyre on CNN yesterday stated that he had photographed pieces of the cockpit and the fuselage. And Jamie McIntyre also stated on September 11th that upon his close inspection, there were no pieces of recognizable wreckage from any type of a large aircraft. He stated that there was no fuselage, there were no wings, no engines, nothing that you could recognize as a large aircraft. There were a lot of small metal pieces.
There were some people that were...
Okay, so I'm going to pause it right there. I was quoting from Jamie McIntyre from CNN, and I'd even shown the video clip in the documentary. So now he's backed into a corner. Listen to how he handles it.
Protesting outside of the Time Warner Center a couple of weeks ago about the World Trade Center and the Pentagon, and they claim that America, the government, has hired Osama bin Laden, and they know this. They've hired an actor to play Osama bin Laden because he has two noses.
Okay, he has two noses. See what he's doing now?
Question to you, Dave. How much are we paying that actor?
I wouldn't know anything about that.
Let me ask.
Okay, let's try again. Let's try another way to try to discredit me, Glenn.
Let me ask you this. What's in Area 51? Is it aliens or office supplies?
See how they handle this? This is why I have nothing but contempt for the mainstream networks, because when they're faced with the truth and they have to deal with the facts, it's called destroying the messenger because you don't want the message.
Well, actually, I hear there's a whole host of Elvis impersonators there,
we go.
that fly around in black helicopters.
Great.
You can bring that up, too.
Dave?
See, what you're doing here is the same thing that so many talk show hosts do. You ignore the message by attacking the messenger and trying to
No, I'm not attacking you, Dave. You seem like a reasonable human being. I just do not believe this at all. I got to tell you, I have friends, a guy who works for me, in fact, that has a friend that witnessed the plane, saw it with his own eyes.
Okay, I have a friend who lived next door to a guy that worked with a guy whose sister saw this.
I think you are a nut job, but strangely enough, a serious nut job. Dave, I thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You
Check
bet.
it out at 9/11.
9/11 in plain sight. They cut me off right at the very end there. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you because that's my own personal experience. It's not the only experience I've had with the mainstream networks. You know, in my broadcasting career, I've come across many different situations where they do exactly the same thing. They twist, they manipulate, they massage, and they go after the messenger rather than deal with the message. So that's why I have no love for the mainstream networks. And also, I'm having a real problem with a lot of the conservative networks that have popped up in the past decade. Yes, Newsmax. Yes, OAN. Yes, Real America's Voice. Yeah, they're all doing the same thing. They love to point the fingers, and justifiably, at the alphabet networks, ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC. Yeah, we all can expect them to massage, manipulate, and propagandize. So a lot of folks have been going to the alternative new news networks, and you're getting propagandized just as badly, only instead of it being blue propaganda, you're getting right propaganda. You got to think outside of the cage, and remember this. The truth is never easy to find. If the truth is never easy to find, how easy is it for you to turn on your television and channel surf through the news networks? That's real easy, isn't it? Well, then how much truth are you going to find? You have to dig. You have to research. You have to use common sense. That's the only way you're going to start figuring stuff out in this world. But anyway, I wanted to share that with you because, it's the 20th anniversary of that interview. And again, hey, Glen Beck, I'm calling you out. I'm calling you out, brother. Now, he's like I said, he and others have come around. I mean, Tucker Carlson has come around big time. He was right on board with lambasting and ridiculing anybody who was challenging the 9/11 official narrative. That's back when he was wearing a bow tie. Remember when Tucker Carlson was wearing a bow tie? He was with CNN. He was with CNN before he went to Fox. So anyway, I'm glad that a lot of these mainstream influencers are coming around, but they got to come all the way around. Anyway, all right, we got a phone caller. Let's go to the phones. Okay, let's see who that is. Is that Cynthia? Okay, hello, Cynthia. I'm recognizing your phone number now.
Great.
How you doing? What's up? What's on your mind? Are you going to stick to the topic, or are you going to grab the steering wheel and take me in another direction?
Well, I think this is in the right direction. How advanced do you think they are with hologram technology, where they can project an image into the sky and you think it's real? And the reason this is important is, of course, there's always been that history that von Braun said they're going to pull off a fake alien invasion.
Yeah.
So if they were able to project a hologram of a plane hitting the Twin Towers, and the people that saw it believed it, but you couldn't photograph it.
Well, I do believe that technology has advanced. I don't believe that they had that technology perfected 24 years ago, 24 years ago. Okay, and there's there are people that say that there were no planes that hit the towers, and there was no plane. No, I don't buy into the no plane issue. I don't buy into that.
Well, there's that famous image of the nose of the plane coming out the other side of the building intact.
Well, there was something that came out the other side of the building. Now, we can't say definitively it was the nose of the airplane. We can't say that because we can't really tell. All we know is that there's a fireball of something that came out the other side. I agree with that. But we can't definitively say it was the nose.
I'm thinking that you may not be correct, that they didn't have that technology available under DARPA, under deep secrets, and that they don't want word of it to get out because they still plan to do their fake alien invasion.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, well, we've been hearing about that. There's an anomaly that's traveling into our solar system right now. A lot of people are paying attention to it. It's called the 3I/Atlas, Object 3I Atlas. And they're saying it's the size of the island of Manhattan. It's about 4 miles long. It's huge. And they're saying that, we don't know what it is. It's a mysterious object that's entered our solar system. But they're saying, it could be a hostile alien technology that's coming here. Wait a minute, you don't even know what the heck it is. So how can you speculate that it's a hostile alien, craft of some sort? Here again, wrap up the fear factor. We don't know what the heck it is. Maybe they are setting the table for Operation Blue Beam. I don't know. But that's on the table,
I became very suspicious back in 2020 when the Vatican shut down their observatory. I think it was in Arizona or New Mexico. They shut it down. I thought, really? You're that afraid of COVID that you shut down a major observatory? And what are you doing owning one anyway?
Yeah.
Now, I think it's on sacred land. So I'll take the discussion in another direction if you let me, though.
No, okay. Where are we going now? What are you going to do to me?
Well, I'm putting out the idea that because the federal government held on to land that they didn't have a right to hold on to, and they labeled it national park and national forest and national this and national that, the states don't realize, the people who are in the states right now don't realize that's actually their land, and that the federal government cannot encumber it and use it for their own purposes, especially not to sell it off to pay for the debt. But Native Americans, apparently the Blackfoot, were kicked off the land that became Glacier National Park.
Mm-hmm. And
if the Native American cultures will combine forces with the states' rights people, they might find a lot of support for the fact that they need their land back that was taken from them.
Mm-hmm.
And there's probably other areas. I know there's a problem where one tribe wanted a casino in a certain location, but that location belonged to a different tribe. And over that other tribe's objection, the federal government let them put a casino there.
Yeah. Well, I'm not unfamiliar.
You
I'm not unfamiliar with the Blackfoot tribe. Yeah, because I'm right up here in northwest Montana. I'm not that far from Glacier National Park. So no, I'm very much aware of the indigenous population, the Native Americans, and how they were so badly screwed over. Yes.
Oh yeah. It's hard for me to conceive of the cruelty that we had back then, because now it's unthinkable. Except for the fact, you look at the fact that they wanted to wipe out the current Native Americans with that dadgum COVID injection.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was a bar weapon. And we do know that there were different lots with different toxicities. What kind of lots did they get? And it was the U.S. military, wasn't it, that was deciding where the lots went? As if you could trust the Army.
Yeah.
You can't really trust the Army. It's not supposed to be acting on U.S. soil.
Mm-hmm.
It's and we need to go back to the militias. I'm back to the militia movement. And we need to support the people who want to do militias and keep the government, the federal government, out of their communities.
I couldn't agree with you more. People have to understand what the militia is. According to our founding fathers, the militia is the whole of the people. It's us, and it's the people. And that's why in the Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia being necessary for the a well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of a free state, the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Yeah, okay, I think I got that right.
So with this $10 billion Palantir contract, which is going to tie together all law enforcement,
mm-hmm.
it's high time to tell your city council and your county supervisors you don't want the government, the local government, to fund police departments.
Mm-hmm.
You want them to fund the militia. The federal government is supposed to be funding the militia, so go ahead and fund it and send a bill to the Fed.
Well, that ain't going to happen. Dream on. That just isn't going to happen. Hey, Cynthia, I appreciate the call. Okay, I'm glad that you brought up the Blackfoot tribe and the militia. That's you took the steering wheel over this way and then over that way. So
there's a way to get there. Huh?
Yeah, I know. All right, sweetie. Well, thank you for the call. You have a good day. Okay, bye-bye.
All right.
All right. As always, I appreciate the calls. I like to get feedback on some of the stuff that I talk about. And I got to be honest with you, I may not be right about stuff. I've been wrong before, and you know what? So have you. We've all been fooled at one time or another. And as a matter of fact, here's someone who posted, she realized that we've all been snookered. We've been fooled.
Yeah. I've also been fooled. I trusted Jewish voices because they had gone through the Holocaust. I trusted my Democratic leaders on their pro-Israel stance. I trusted that the media was telling the truth about who the terrorists were. I trusted my government for taking the right actions after 9/11. And I trusted the military-industrial complex because we were under attack. Now, none of that I can trust. And I say that confidently. I don't trust any of that. We were fooled. We were fooled so hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were fooled. And that's why my theme song is You Won't Be Trusted Anymore. And I wrote and recorded that song a quarter century ago. As an actual matter, now that I think about it, no, it was almost 30 years ago. It was 96. So, again, I'm very well documented on the record for having no love and no trust for the mainstream networks, and neither should you. Okay. Anyway, real quick, I just want to remind you that this broadcast is brought to you in part by the Wave Watch. Now, if you haven't checked it out, you really should. Now, you know as well as I do that Nikola Tesla said frequency is everything, and he's not wrong. And that particular bit of wisdom was carried on by the scientist Royal Raymond Rife. He experimented with frequencies and found that frequencies had an effect on any type of cellular structure. Yeah, he'd built a microscope that could magnify 50,000 times. He did it with lenses and prisms. Of course, today you can only magnify at that level by using an electron microscope, which means you have to irradiate whatever it is that you want to look at, which means it's not alive anymore. But Rife was able to look at viruses and bacteria and cells and see them in their living state. And when he exposed them from different sound frequencies, he noticed that he could explode a virus. Whoa! Hey, I better write that frequency down. And that's what he did. And he made notes of all these frequencies and how they affected different types of viruses, bacteria, fungi. And he also noticed that certain frequencies would help to make certain cellular structures proliferate and thrive. Blood cells, kidney cells, skin cells. Hey, this helps this cell, and he wrote those frequencies down. The point is that that's the basis for Rife machines. That's why there's all kinds of Rife machines that are out there. But what makes the Wave Watch different is that it's been miniaturized into a wristwatch. And there are thousands, over 1,000 frequencies on the Wave Watch, and they can, I'm not here to tell you that they will cure or treat anything, but they certainly can help a lot of different situations, whether you've got back pain or you want to help your eyes. I've been using it for my eyes, and they've improved my vision. I don't use my reading glasses as often as I used to. But the point is that you really should check out the Wave Watch. I think you'll be very pleasantly surprised to see the benefits that you can enjoy by having one. So go to our website, TheWTFReports.com, click on the sponsors page, and check out the Wave Watch. And again, do your own research. Do your own research. I wouldn't be having that as a sponsor if I didn't believe in it. And there's a lot of folks out there, a lot of broadcasters and influencers, and they'll sell anything that they can to make some money. And I remember what happened to the Power Hour, and that's why that's one of the reasons why I didn't agree with that philosophy anymore. I won't allow this program to turn into an infomercial. But yeah, we still have to pay the bills and keep the lights on. So please check out our website, TheWTFReports.com. Click on the sponsors page and do some research into the Wave Watch. Once you've done so, I think you'll realize that you might benefit from that thing. Anyway, that said, okay, there's other things that are going on. Of course, the continuing, what do I say? The genocide, the murder that's going on over there in Palestine. Now, I'm not going to start bashing one side or the other, but the bottom line here is that I don't care if you're a human being, you don't deserve to be starved and shot at. And I've seen the video footage. Israel will not allow journalists in there. They won't allow, UN people to go in there. So we're at the total mercy of whatever Israel says is going on in Palestine. So as a matter of fact, this past week, I've noticed a real increase in the propaganda that's coming out on social media platforms, on Instagram and on X. They're basically, I saw a video over the weekend. It looked like you were going through an open market with all kinds of fruits and vegetables and bakery items and stuff. And they're showing this and they're saying, look, this is all available in Palestine, Say, wait a second, it's garbage. I've also seen the video of the hundreds and hundreds of people who are lining up to try to get some food, and then they get shot at. I mean, it's just horrendous, just horrendous. And, there are Jews out there that see how horrendous this is. And this is a video that was taken in Brooklyn, I believe it is. And this Jewish guy is just absolutely mortified by what's going on in Israel. Here he is.
I see these pictures. I can't. It's just terrible. It's heartbreaking. And heartbreaking to see what's happening and the whole world is silent and our Jewish name. What's happening? It's something just terrible. It's just terrible. People are being shot every day, and the world stands by. It's just terrible. We're going to carry on campaigning and doing whatever we can for our Palestinian brethren.
Yeah, he's all upset. It's terrible, and they're doing it in our Jewish name. Of course, what Netanyahu and his monstrous cabinet has done is it's beyond the pale. It's just horrendous. And let me see if I can pull this up here. Where is it? There was a meeting of all the former leaders. Let me see where this thing is here. Nope, that's not it. All right, well, never mind. I'll get back to that. But the thing is, why is this going on? How is this possible? How is this possible? Well, let's put 2 and 2 together and see if we can't come up with a correct answer. Now, we all know now that the military-industrial complex profits from war. Common sense, absolute common sense. When there's no war, they're not selling any weapons, right? So they want war. They need war. They lust for war. That's what they do. So the point is that you've got these huge corporations, whether it be Northrop Grumman or, let's see. Okay, I'll save that audio clip for a moment. Okay, let's see who we've got here. Okay, caller, who are you? Where are you calling from?
This is Melissa in Maryland. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, dear. Be quick. What do you got?
Okay, if it's all right with you, okay. I'm going to be changing the subject, so if you'd rather have me call back, that's fine.
What? I'm sorry, you're going to change what?
I'm going to change the subject, so if you'd rather have me call back, that's fine.
Okay, well, what's the subject? Be real quick, because I got a couple things I wanted to share with the listeners. What have you got?
Getting a photo ID. The subject is photo IDs.
Oh,
so
okay.
Did we discuss that, or did you want me to call you back?
Yeah, let's do that. I'll make a note of that. Let's talk about the real ID and the voter ID. Let's talk about that, because that's a huge can of worms. That's a big one. You know, that's going to tie us into the mark of the beast and all that type of stuff.
Did you want to discuss that now, or did you want me to call back?
No, let's do that another time. Let's call back tomorrow, because I got a couple things I wanted to get to today.
Well, if I'm available, I'll just keep calling until you're available to discuss it, okay? Because my issue is that the DMV has a monopoly on photo IDs, and they shouldn't.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. But that's why I said this is a big can of worms, and it needs to be gone into in depth. So,
okay, I'll call back some other time.
Okay, thank you, dear. Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, I like to try to stay on topic when the people call, when you folks call in. I like to stay, on the subject. So, anyway, no, I was just talking about the military-industrial complex and the simple fact that they profit from war. Now, we have elected officials. Yes, elected officials that have huge portfolios and stocks and stuff like that. Who do you suppose they invest in? And how do you suppose they vote in Congress when it comes to a possible benefit to their portfolio? So this is common sense. Give a listen to this.
Genocide isn't just about hate. It's also about profit. Weapons don't build themselves. Bombs don't drop for free. There is a pipeline of money running straight from Wall Street to the weapons tearing Gaza apart, and that pipeline flows directly through Congress. Let's talk about who's getting paid. Since October 2023, Israel has dropped tens of thousands of bombs on Gaza, and most of them were made in America. The top weapons suppliers? We have Lockheed Martin, who build F-35s, the jets flying over Gaza right now. Raytheon Technologies, now RTX. They supply air-to-ground missiles and bunker busters. There's Elbit Systems, an Israeli defense company, but with deep U.S. contracts and investors. General Dynamics, they sell artillery shells used in civilian dense areas. And Boeing, maker of the JDAM kits that turn regular bombs into precision-guided ones, except when they accidentally hit hospitals, schools, and bakeries and such. These companies have seen their stock prices soar during the war. Shareholders are celebrating. The more destruction, the better the returns. There are members of our Congress who are personally invested. Okay? Some of the same U.S. lawmakers approving military aid to Israel are financially invested in the weapons companies profiting from it. Senators and House members who sit on defense committees hold stock in Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Northrop Grumman, and General Dynamics. These aren't distant funds. These are personal portfolios. They profit when war continues. They profit when diplomacy fails. They profit when Palestinians die. Mm-hmm. And they have the power to keep the money flowing or to stop it. Guess which they're choosing. And then there's the lobbying. AIPAC. I already talked about them. They spend millions to ensure unconditional U.S. support for Israel. The Israeli American Council, Christians United for Israel, and others push war as faith, policy, and profit. Defense contractors also have over 1,000 lobbyists in D.C. That's nearly 2 per member of Congress. These are the people shaping the policy. They write the talking points, they decide which stories get told and which get buried. Since October 2023, the U.S. has approved over $17 billion in military support to Israel. That's your tax money. It's not going towards healthcare or schools or housing. It's going to a military that now admits it shot over 500 unarmed people waiting in line for food. That's what genocide looks like when it's corporatized.
Corporatized genocide. That's what we're dealing with. And that's why they keep the bombs going and they keep the armament going over there to Israel. Shik-shing, shik-shing, shik-shing. And there are plenty of members in Congress, again, if there was a way that they could open up their portfolios, and this is why there's a talk now, there's a real move to prevent members of Congress from dabbling in the stock exchange while they are in office. And I thoroughly support that particular idea because that's exactly how they make all their money. As a matter of fact, people are now starting to look at where their allegiance is. Now, I've talked about this numerous times on this broadcast. Is it America first or Israel first? And when you ask members of Congress that question, very simple. Is it America first or Israel first? They turn and scurry away. Now, that in a situation like that, a non-answer is an answer. Because if you were America first, you'd stand up proudly, throw your shoulders back and your chest out and say, I'm America first. But they don't do that. They turn and they turn and scurry away. They won't answer. And then there's the issue about dual citizenship. Let me see, where have I heard that? You cannot serve 2 masters. Where did I hear that? Well, there was a woman that put together a little skit, and I thought this was kind of apropos. She's playing both parts, but it's 2 roommates. One of them is just packed up, and she's getting ready to leave the country because she heard that ICE is coming after people with dual citizenship. Ooh. Yeah, what if that were to happen in Congress? Listen to this.
Cece, what are you doing?
They're talking about coming after people with dual citizenship, Sarah. I have to leave back to Spain.
Whoa.
Yeah, can you believe that? But people in Congress can have dual citizenship.
I didn't know that.
Richard Blumenthal from Connecticut, Ron Wyden from Oregon, Benjamin Cardin from Maryland, all Israeli citizenship, by the way. Barbara Boxer from California, Russ Feingold from Wisconsin, Chuck Schumer from New York, Steve Cohen from Tennessee. Do we see a trend?
Oh, that's a lot.
Howard Berman from California, Susan Davis from California, Elliot Engel from New York, Bob Filner from California, Barney Frank from Massachusetts, Gabrielle Giffords from Arizona, Alan Grayson from Florida, Jane Harmon from California, Paul Hodes from New York.
Whoa, so this many members of Congress are not just American. They're Israeli?
Nita Lowy from New York, Jerry Nadler from New York, Jared Paulus from Colorado, Steve Rothman from New Jersey, Jan Schepkowski from Illinois, Adam Schiff from California, Allison Schwartz from Pennsylvania, Brad Sherman from California, all Israelis.
I mean, it almost sounds like we're the United States of Israel.
Obviously, Sarah, jeez. Henry Waxman from California.
They're not going to go after them.
Yeah, don't you find it funny how?
I don't know what to say.
Yeah, well, it's pretty obvious who's in charge here. Not us. So I'm leaving.
Welcome to the United States of Israel. I couldn't believe it when I heard that. I said, oh man, I've been saying that for quite some time on this broadcast. Now people are finally starting to get it. And, and like I said, more and more people around the world are recognizing, they're noticing, and that's a key word, the noticing, in quotations, the noticing. That's going on all over the world. People are realizing that the state of Israel basically is run by imposters. They're not indigenous. They're not from the area. I mean, I've gone through the list. Let me see. Isaac Herzog is from Ireland. Benjamin Netanyahu is from Poland. Yoav Gallant was from Poland. Bazel Smotrich is from the Ukraine. Itamar Ben-Gvir is from Iraq. Eli Cohen is from Morocco. Yair Lapid is from Serbia. Right on down the line, all the members of the cabinet, none of them are indigenous. None of them. Just amazing, don't you think? So anyway, Abby Martin, I tell you, she's been rattling the cages as well. Here's what Abby Martin had to say in regard to what's going on over there in Palestine.
People in Gaza need to know that it's the beginning of the end of the Zionist state. The Zionist state will not survive. To stay in the same place, they have to kill and kill and kill. That's the only thing they know how to do. And that's not a surviving strategy. And the more people who wake up, and certainly tens of millions of more people have woken up to the truth, to the barbaric nature of what Zionism is and what Israel really represents, there's no going back for them. So for decades, pro-Palestine advocates have been on the defense to explain why defense of Palestine, why advocacy for Palestinian liberation is not anti-Semitic, why criticizing Israel is not anti-Semitic. That is no longer the case. Zionists are on the defense now, explaining why they support apartheid and genocide. They're no longer going to be allowed in the same spaces as progressives. It is a racist, colonial, genocidal ideology, and it has been exposed.
Yes, it has been exposed, and they know it too. And they're actually trying to pass laws that say that if you criticize Zionism, that is anti-Semitism. Zionism is political dogma. It's not a religion. But they see that most Americans don't know that. They don't know how to separate the two, thanks to our wonderful Department of Education. So this is why they're getting over with this. But you know what? They're not getting over with it anymore. Support for Israel has fallen to an all-time low in this country and around the world, and they know it. And I got to ask the elected officials out there and all of you networks out there, including those so-called conservative networks, how are you going to backwalk this? How are you going to back it down? I mean, you keep doubling down. We got to support Israel. Israel is our greatest ally. Israel's our greatest ally. Israel's our greatest ally. Over and over again, our greatest ally. For what? What have you done for me lately? What have they done for the United States? Aside from suck billions and billions and billions of dollars out of us. And now the rest of the world is looking at the United States and Israel with nothing but hatred and disdain. And I should say it's well-deserved. Anyway, I just wanted to share that part with you. And you know what? Francisca Albanese has been very vocal in trying to help the Palestinians overcome this genocide. And I wanted to play this one clip, and the key word that you want to listen to is humanitarian. It's a very important word. Listen to this, because I've got a punchline for you. Listen, here she is.
The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation is absolutely a death trap. I wouldn't know how to call the 600 people who have been killed while trying to reach aid. Also, so first of all, this is the most, the term humanitarian absolutely it cannot be utilized in a serious fashion toward that thing, because humanitarian aid must follow certain principles: the principle of humanity, the principle of dignity, the principle of protection of human life, so creating no harm. This creates harm. It's not a dignified way to distribute food and aid. It's not providing all the aid that is adequate. So what are we talking about? So without even looking at it as a killing machine, it's not providing aid. The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation are saying that the killing is not happening near the sites. Well, I've gone through plenty of video evidence. Of course, neither you nor I are there. I wish journalists could be allowed in. The fact that it's not happening, while all the journalists that are available in Gaza are being killed one by one, and we have surpassed the 220 now, it's evidence that probably Israel doesn't want further testimonies, further witnesses in this. So over 220 journalists have been killed.
just by going in there and trying to report what's going on in the Gaza Strip in Palestine. Now, if you're God's chosen people, how can you possibly justify killing the journalists who want to get in there and see what's going on? This is madness. It's absolute insanity. And I mentioned before, I played that clip from Francesca Albanese. The key word is humanitarian. Now, the reason I'm emphasizing that particular word is because a lot of the Israelis, the ones who are brought up in the system, in the schools, and in the universities, etc., they are told over and over and over again, and there are videos that were taken in classrooms in Israel where they are basically telling the children that the Palestinians are not human. They are less than human. As a matter of fact, if you're not one of them, you're Goyim, Goyim, Goy for short. So if you're not totally on board with the Israeli mentality, and if you're not Jewish, and if you're not Talmudic, then you are Goy. You are Goyim. So that means that you're not human. So therefore, humanitarian aid means nothing to them. You know, this is why they can do anything that they want, and they just basically absolve themselves from any responsibility whatsoever. Because after all, they're not killing humans. I'm serious. This is what they believe. They're open about it. And again, I go back, 20, 25 years. And I did some deep research, biblical research. I also had a copy of the Torah. I had a copy of the Quran. And as far as the Bible is concerned, I had the Tyndale Bible, the Jerusalem Bible, of course, the King James Bible, had the Greek translations, the Hebrew translations. I got into it. Now, I'm not a Bible scholar by any means. I can't quote page, line, and verse from the Bible. But I got enough information that I could actually compare this to that and realize exactly how information has been massaged and manipulated and spun. And, you look at how many different versions of the Bible are out there. And besides, I thought they said that if you change one jot or one tittle, okay, you can't do that. You're not supposed to change anything. But unfortunately, that's exactly what's happened. So the point I'm trying to get at here is that, the Israelis, they're going by the Talmud. Now, I'll be honest, I didn't get into the Talmud. It's only recently that I've become aware of some of the passages in the Talmud. And I'll tell you, if you haven't checked it out, you really ought to. Because if this is what they believe that it's okay to have sex with a young child as long as they're over 3 years old. Let that settle in, okay? And this is their beliefs. It's not what I believe, it's what they believe. So this is why I'm saying when it comes to humanitarian aid, they absolve themselves from any responsibility whatsoever, because if you're not one of them, you're not human. Let that sink in for a little while. Anyway, that's what we're up against. All right, boy, this hour went by quickly. Oh, gosh, I can't believe it. Already time to say ta-ta, see you later, and all that stuff. Anyway, I hope that you're enjoying this broadcast. If you are, then please, if you're listening on YouTube or if you're listening on BitChute or Rumble, please click like, share, and subscribe. And you could also let the word get out. Pass, word of mouth. Say, hey, listen, there's a pretty interesting broadcast out there you might want to check into. The WTF Reports. Yeah, because I'm with the facts, WTF. And once you hear them, then your eyebrows will fade into your hairline and you'll go, WTF! The truth hurts sometimes. All right, that's going to wrap it up for today's Monday edition of the WTF Reports. I'm Dave vonKleist. As always, I respectfully and humbly request that you do business with our website. That said, we're all done for the day. God bless you all. Stay safe and stay free.